All right, and we're live to day 3 of the debate series, starting off with the MUISS Secretary for today. So we have here Sharon, the candidate for MUISS Secretary, and we also have our office bearer, Namisha. Okay, so before we begin, let's take a look at the itinerary. All right, so right now we're in the introduction. So followed by this, the candidate will be giving an opening statement, followed by Q&A from office bearers. Then after that, we'll be open to Q&A from students. So if you have any questions for the candidate in regards to her policy or manifesto, please drop it into the comments. And then before we wrap up, we'll be having the closing statement by our candidate. All right. So now that the itinerary is done, for those of you who would like to invite your friends or fellow students to join in, please feel free to share the link. And yeah, we'll first begin with the opening statement. Over to you, Sharon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the returning officer, office bearer, and all viewers of this session. My name is Sharon Zoe, so you can call me Sharon. I'm from Indonesia, a second-year business student, and I'm currently running for MUISS Secretary 2022 from the party Ignitus. Firstly, I would like to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity and listening to my speech. So I decided to run for this position because when I first entered Monash in October 2020, we had an online semester, and it was challenging for us new students to connect. um, Nevertheless, I joined one of MUISS orientation events. Hence, I met various people and made new friends. In return, I would like to give back to the international students by being the bridge between MUISS, international students, and MUSA. Based on my experience as a secretary, I realized that secretary's role does not only involve in writing meeting minutes and compiling reports. It sustains a smooth functioning body by keeping track of all departments' activities and responsibilities while holding to the constitution and handbook at all times. And it ensures deliberated decisions are in the best interest of students and divisions. Hence, by dedicating my skills, time, and efforts towards MUISS, I would like to challenge myself and grow as a better person while bringing positive values towards MUISS. I have five main initiatives that I would like to implement shall I get elected as MUISS Secretary. First, nurture cohesive communication within and outside MUISS. I noticed that the current communication channel utilized by MUISS is WhatsApp, and the where there will be enormous messages from the departments. It is crucial to keep the members productive and engaged within the organization. But how? By adopting a proper communication channel through internal voting. Hence, it will provide necessary boundary within the departments and non-division matters, which will increase the efficiency of information circulation within WIS. Furthermore, I will fully utilize Google Calendar for the whole department to provide practical access to schedules, deadlines, and maintain balance between academics, meetings, and events. Moreover, I noticed that the constitution of the MUISS division is outdated, hence the references to irrelevant clauses or subclauses. If given the opportunity and sufficient time, rewriting and reformatting the MUISS constitution will be one of my aims. Next, I'll foster an inclusive environment to respect every idea, opinion, and unique expertise regardless of cultures, ethnicities, race, nor religion to ensure all international students have a comfortable experience here at Monash. I'll avoid bias and remain objective, especially in decision making and conflicts of interest. Furthermore, I plan to increase the transparency and engagement of MUISS to international students. I aim to do this by working closely with the publicity officer to post monthly summaries of MUISS activities and events so students will be aware and informed as MUISS as a remarkable division of MUSA. Moreover, I aspire to continue the predecessor's initiative by publicizing the end of semester reports to increase further the transparency and exposure of MUISS achievements and events. Lastly, every voice matters. Hence, I'll provide feedback questionnaires for every international students and subcoms member at every event to hear every issues, problems, or concerns encountered by international students to allow room for improvement towards MUISS and deliver the best desired value to international students and increase MUISS to a greater heights. With my experience as a secretary since high school and a great team at MUISS, I will increase the benefits for international students. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your opening speech. So, yes, to those who are just joining in, feel free to drop any questions that you may have to the candidate. So, before I reach to your questions, we'll first hand it over to the office bearer. You may go ahead, Namisha.
Okay, hi. Firstly, well done on your speech. And okay, so I have a few questions. First, let's just start with the basics. I want to know what inspired you to run as a secretary, as like specifically, because you said when you were new, you were interested in the whole MOIS thing because you were a part of the orientation. But why secretary? Why not any other department?
Mm, right. Thank you, Namisha, for the question. Because I believe I have the skill set of a secretary, Personally, I am the person who would actually remind people, oh, this is the deadline, you need to finish this. And I would like to bridge between people as well, become the middleman of two party.
Okay, fair enough. Also, I'm sure you're aware that the job of the secretary is to build bridges between various departments, right? Now, I'd like to know how you would handle a situation without any biases. How would you put your biases aside if, for example, two of your closest friends in the committee had an issue?
Um, Sorry, I think you were cut off a bit, so
Did
I
I
couldn't hear
lag?
the full
Oh, okay.
question.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, so I was saying that I'm sure you're aware that the job of a secretary is to build a bridge between all the departments and just to handle the efficiency of MUISS as a team, right? So now I just want to know how you would handle a conflict or just a situation without any biases. How would you put your biases aside?
Yeah, so before that, I would definitely listen to both sides of the parties and ensure that I understand both parties because I don't want to make a rush decision that I only listen to one of the parties. And even though as a team we are close together, but I will ensure that I will remain objective at all times, especially when conflict of interest arise.
Okay. I want to ask something about your manifesto. In your manifesto, you said that you'd adopt a proper communication channel. So, and like you mentioned that you'd all have votes and you'd kind of go over it together. But can I know what channels you want to elaborate and just if you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, so there's two possibilities. First, Musa is planning to actually change the whole system, and we might follow that. Second, if they do not proceed with that, we would like to implement other communication platforms such as Telegram. And I've uh, researched about Microsoft Teams as well. So it would depend on the other departments because I want them to be comfortable using this channel.
Okay. Okay, so from an outsider's perspective, or as a student, since you've not been a part of MUIS's subcommittee, what are the things you see right now from MUIS events that need improving? And what would you do differently, or what change would you like to bring if you're elected?
Um, right. So I see MUIS as a body that focuses towards international students. They try to cater international students as much as they can by providing exceptional service like visa. They help uh, the international students to assess their concerns through that. And I believe that I would provide my level best to ensure the departments work efficiently as possible because that's my main concern.
Okay. You also mentioned in your speech that you want to rewrite a few things in the Constitution, and if you had the time to do so, could you tell me more about that? Like, if there's anything specific that you have in mind?
Yeah, so for instance, the Section 82, Section 3 states that the head of MUIS or his or her nominee as a member of MSC has one vote in reference to Clause 53, whereby Clause 53 states the financial year of MUSA is to be from the 1st of January to the year of 31st December of the same year. So it references to a different clause, and I believe the clauses would be in the MUSA constitution. It's just that um, MUIS is not updated, whereas Musa is updated.
Fair enough. Um, So, like I said earlier, we've been online for like 2 years now. So, it's going to be a big change to come on campus. How do you plan to balance your social life, your education, and MUIS?
Yeah, that's why I plan to utilize Google Calendar so I can arrange all the meetings, events that the whole departments would have. And it would definitely facilitate the other departments as well because I know that some of us, the departments, are year three, and I would like to, and I'm gonna be entering year three as well. So I hope that through this Google Calendar, I could help the other departments as well so they could ensure there's no clashes between their classes or workshops.
Okay. And I have another question about your manifesto. You also mentioned that you want to raise awareness. Now, I'm just a little curious on how you intend to do that because I personally feel that our Instagram page is already active. So I'm just curious as to how you'd want to increase the awareness about MUIS.
Yeah, so regarding increased awareness, I believe I would work closely with the publicity officer to make the monthly summaries because I want to let the international students know that, hey, MUIS is progressing every month. And through that, I would like to state the points or, um, yeah, points during our meetings.
Okay.
Also,
Another
I
one
have, yeah,
because
sorry.
sorry, no, continue.
I also have planned to put feedback forms for the subcommittee as they don't have a feedback forms because I believe subcoms would know what are the inside out of MOIS and I believe that would provide meaningful insights for us.
Okay. Because again, none of you have had any experience of it being on campus or have been on campus for that matter. How do you plan to make sure that the committee is ready to take over MOIS on campus if it happens to be that way next year?
So yes, I'm aware that some of us have not experienced an on-campus study, but I believe that some of us do experience it, and we would definitely come up with a contingency plan, like a hybrid system, whereby we would be ready for both online and offline semester.
Okay. Um, Now this is just like a super general question, but like the heads and secretary kind of work hand in hand for almost everything. You're like one big team. So what would you do in a situation if your opinions didn't align with the head's opinions and there was a clash between the both of you? Because these are like crucial departments. How
Yeah,
would
I
you handle
agree.
that?
So personally, I think I would try to reflect to myself, like whether my decision is rational. And if it is, then I would try to talk to one of the heads to like try to get to know why our decisions clashes, like what are your aims from that decision and what are mine. And I'll try to find a middle way so we could both go satisfy both decisions.
Fair enough. I think I'm done with my questions.
All right. Thank you for your questions, Manisha, and also thank you for answers, Sharon. So, in the meantime, just a reminder to the audience, if you have any questions for Sharon in regards to her previous answers or anything related to her policies or manifestos, please feel free to drop in the chat. All right. So, we just give that some time. Um, in the meanwhile, I'll just go through roughly on what to expect for the remainder of the day in terms of the other debates. Okay. So the audience will have some time to drop in some questions. So following this, there will be a short break until 3 p.m. before we move on to the publicity officer session, followed by head of MUIS, then head of CNS. After that, we'll have our MUIS CRO, followed by our editors debate, and last but not least, to wrap up the day, the treasurers debate. So it's a long day, full steam ahead, and of course, we will have a few more functioning body as well as the execs for the debates tomorrow. So looking forward to the audience joining in during those sessions. All right. So we have one
Can I have
question.
one more question?
Okay, no worries.
Yeah. I just want to know how you would work with the General Secretary in terms of the coordination of the Constitution between MUSA and MUIS.
Yeah, so regarding that, I would definitely have a constant communication with the general secretary, and if viable, more personal contacts. And if there should be any issues, more monthly, uh, more meetings should be held because I know that I would report regarding all of the departments of MOIS to the general secretary.
Thank you.
All right. So following that, we have one question so far from the audience. So from Rashwan, how will you balance all your uni work and the workload of being the secretary?
Yes, I'm aware that secretary does a lot of behind the scene work, and I think personally I would weekly plan my schedules, and then that's why I wanna utilize Google Calendar to actually just be aware of all the deadlines, and then I could set my own deadlines before the actual deadlines actually come. In that way, I can prepare myself better.
All right. So hope that answers your question, Rashwan. If not, you can always drop a follow-up questions. And to the audience, if you still have any further questions, there is still time for this Q&A session. So feel free to do so. For Namisha, is there anything that you'd like to follow up on or anything that came up in terms of questions? Nope. Great answer. Okay. All right. So we have another question from Ali. As secretary, you have to make sure that the MUISS constitution is always followed and serves its best interest for MUISS. According to you, what are the improvements you want to make in the constitution? So I believe you did point this out earlier as well, but perhaps Ali just recently joined in, so you could reiterate as well as add in anything that you may have missed out on.
Yeah, thank you, Ali, for your question. So, as I mentioned before, I noticed that the MIS constitution is outdated, so it references to irrelevant clauses, and I would just like to reformat and just update the MUISS constitution because in section 94, the format was a bit off. Some of it has uh, closing brackets, some of it does not have. And for the outdated, as I mentioned before, this section 82 subsection 3 has it references to different clauses. Yeah. And regarding the improvements, I believe that I don't solely can make decisions on that. I would have to gather my team to actually discuss what improvements that I can make for the WIS constitution.
All right. So hope that answers your question. So you feel free to keep the questions coming in as this lesson still has that time for you to do so. If not, if any questions come up along the way, you can also pop it into the manifesto on the official MUSA Instagram page. All right. So we have a question from Eunice. So I'm aware that WIS Secretary will be part of the election committee. Just curious on what kind of improvements should be made in regards to that and the roles that should be played in this committee.
Yeah, so regarding election committee, I'm aware that I will be working with the general secretary to provide the blueprint of annual election, and I have to reach out to increase the outreach of annual election as well, to work closely with the media affair committee, and also I would have to submit reports after the election and have a regular meeting before the election coming up. For regarding the improvements for now, I think everything has been executed efficiently. So uh, I don't really have a concrete plan regarding that.
All right, thank you for your answer. So hope that answers your question. If not, like I mentioned earlier, you can continue to drop questions in. All right. So from the floor, from the audience, is there anything that you'd like to add in to ask Sharon? So we'll give you some time. Based on the answers given recently, Namisha, do you have any that you would like to follow up? All right. So there is a follow up from Ali. So apart from focusing on formatting, how will you make the constitution more procedural and include concrete policies?
Regarding more procedural and concrete policies, I believe that the MUIS constitution are concrete because it is straightforward. It tells you the responsibilities of each department. Like, for instance, me as a secretary, I have to keep the meeting minutes, and I am the part of election committee and so on. So I believe that it is already good. But if there's necessary improvements, I'll definitely come up uh, with the member as well as a whole to discuss like what issues they are facing and what could we do to improve the constitution.
All right. Thank you for your answer. So for now, there seems to be no other questions coming in, but we'll just give it a while more as we are seeing questions slowly coming in. All right. Yeah. So if you still have any questions from the floor, you can drop into the comments, or if nothing comes to mind yet, but it does later on, you may drop it onto the official Instagram page for MUSA. All right. So you can just search for the MUISS Secretary Manifesto and drop it there. Okay. So I think there seems to be no further questions as of now. So we will call it an end to this part of the debates. All right. So yeah, we shall move on to the um, last part of the debate. So over to you, Sharon, for your closing statement. You have 2.5 minutes.
Thank you so much for the questions, everyone, and to the returning officers for providing me this opportunity to deliver my speech. And if I were to be elected, I'll definitely maximize all the resources available to achieve my manifesto and convey to international students' voice to ensure they have great experience at Monash. Please vote for me. Thank you.
All right. So you've heard it from our candidate. All the best in the rest of your campaign. And following this, we'll have a break until 3 p.m. Malaysia time before our next debate session, which will be for the publicity officers. So stay tuned. If you need access to the link, you can always head to the MUSA page or our election website. And yeah, all the best. Take care, stay safe, and see you soon. Bye.